Hello and welcome to the Standards Ashes coverage. I'm here with Will McPherson to preview the third test. Will has arrived in Melbourne. You're on the ground. What's the mood like, I suppose, around the place? It's a very different test city, test venue to Adelaide, where we've just come from.
Yeah, this is one of the great events in cricket, the Boxing Day test, particularly in the Ashes. I don't think the crowd will be quite as big this year. I think they're talking about 70,000. There's a lot of kind of COVID anxiety here, and people have got other stuff on that they don't want to get. They don't want to be unable to go to weddings and all that kind of stuff. So I suspect a few people will stay away from the test match, but it'll still be pretty much the best attended game of cricket this year. And it should be a great occasion. It's unusual. Normally, in recent times, England have come here, certainly on the last two tours in 2006, 7 and 02, 03 as well. 4 of the last 5, they've got to Melbourne and Sydney, and the Ashes have been gone. This time, they're alive, and that does add some extra intrigue, which is exciting. They're only just alive, but they are alive.
I'd just say they're alive, but only just. I mean, they need to win all 3 tests to bring the urn home from here on in. It's almost not worth getting that far ahead because that is such a huge ask. So what needs to change for England this week for them to get something out of this game and keep the series alive?
Well, the most frustrating thing about England so far is not that they've been beaten. That's not a desperate surprise, but the problem is that so many of the reasons they've been beaten are self-inflicted. They've bowled too many no balls. They've dropped too many catches. They've batted without the discipline that's required here. And they've bowled a little bit too short, as Joe Root said the other day. They've also selected poorly. They called wrong at the toss. And there's just so many other little things they're getting wrong that have been so frustrating. To win here, England have to get everything right. They're not in these conditions. They're not quite as good as Australia. They're not as bad. They're not as sort of as much worse than Australia as they appear at this stage. So they need to tighten up massively. And that starts with getting the team right and getting. I think it'll be a pretty obvious call at the toss, even though the pitch has a slightly green tinge now.
So on that team selection, then we're expecting changes. We'll probably have a bit more confirmation by the time this goes out. But it looks like Zak Crawley is going to come in and open the batting. We hear a lot about how his game is supposedly going to be suited to batting in Australia. I'm sure we've heard that about Englishmen before until they've tried it. So why is this going to be different? Can he kind of come in and set the tone at the top of the order in a way that Hameed and Burns just haven't been able to do so far?
Yeah, England have to break the cycle of failure at the top of the order. They in the middle order, they're going okay. David Malan and Joe Root are doing nicely in tough circumstances. Obviously, Joe Root needs to go on and make 100, and Malan would very much like one too. But the openers, they have a top score between them of 34. They have a top partnership of the series of 23, I think, and they've got a duck each, which has meant they've lost a wicket before England have scored a run, and you just can't carry on like that. You need to change that. Crawley should come in. I expect him to. And actually, I would have started the series with him. I know he's had a horrible year. This statistic of him averaging 11 this year has been thrown around a lot, and it is a statistic. It's correct. But so is the statistic that in his final innings of 2020, he scored 267 and he averaged 53 in 2020. That wasn't his only good knock. He was looking really good. He played well in South Africa, which are the conditions most similar to this in early 2020. His problem will be knowing when to play his shots. A bit like James Vince 4 years ago. He has all the shots. He's a supremely elegant player. And it's all about knowing when to play them for him. If he can rein that in, I think he could be an excellent pick. He's tall, he plays a short ball well, and he's a good driver. So I think he's got a good chance. And I've wanted England to pick him throughout. I don't think they needed to be so wedded to the opening pair at the end of the summer. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Well, we'll catch up again after the first day's play. Fingers crossed it'll be win, toss, bat, and we'll be discussing a Zak Crawley unbeaten century. And if anything, England will probably be getting more stick for not picking him from the start, but that's how it works. Cheers, Will.
Cheers.